The NFL draft is almost here, and the Seattle Seahawks are on the clock with just 4 selections. After losing major contributors this offseason, the roster has some holes, and now it all falls on John Schneider to deliver in this draft. If they hit on these selections, if they absolutely nail this draft, the Seahawks won't just recover, they'll be right back in Super Bowl contention again next season. Today, we are building the perfect Seahawks mock draft, the exact targets at every single pick that could fix every weakness and put the Seahawks back in the driver's seat of the NFC. What is up, everybody? Kyle Guerrero here, your host of Seahawks Digest, where we bring you everything Seattle Seahawks news related, rumor related, and report related as it is happening in real time. And we are just about 3 weeks out from the 2026 NFL draft that's going to be happening in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And around this time of the year, it starts getting a little bit quiet because free agency has already been on the go for about 3 weeks, and being 3 weeks out from the draft, it's a little bit of a quiet time. So lots of guys are waiting to see what happens in the draft before they make their final signings. Which means during this time, every single analyst, insider, and whoever else is whipping up mock drafts. So I took the time today, so you don't have to look at all of these insiders and who they think the Seahawks are going to select at what pick. So obviously there are a lot of rumors that the Seahawks will trade back so they can get more selections later in the draft. But for the fun of it today, we are going to stick to the 4 draft picks that the Seahawks have right now. And that is a first rounder, second rounder, third rounder, and sixth rounder, number 62, 64, 96, and 188 overall. So today we are going to go over all the positions that the Seahawks are going to be eyeing in the draft and who the players are at each selection that all these insiders and analysts are saying that we are going to go and get. But before we get into that, we are so close to hitting 1,000 subscribers. So if you want to stay up to date with all the latest Seattle Seahawks content, please subscribe and follow along. It really helps us grow this channel, and it is free. Right off the bat, our most glaring need to upgrade in this draft is cornerback. We have just lost Riq Woolen. Yes, we did re-sign Josh Jobe a few weeks ago, and we have Devon Witherspoon on the roster, but if anything happens to either one of those guys, knock on wood, we are very thin at that position. Lots of people are saying pick number 32 is going to be a cornerback. Obviously, in the running back room, we just lost Kenneth Walker to the Kansas City Chiefs, so Seattle is missing that explosive back right now. We just signed Emmanuel Wilson, but I think most of us feel confident that the Seahawks are going to try to get an explosive running back in this draft. Next up is edge rusher. Mike Macdonald just came out saying yesterday that we might add some veteran presence on the edge, but there's also rumors that we could go for an edge rusher at 32, as that is such an important, vital position to our defense. At O-line, our O-line was solid this year. Gray Zabel was amazing, but again, we're thin. We can always improve the O-line. We can always improve that protection around Sam Darnold. At safety, we have just lost Coby Bryant to the Chicago Bears. Yes, we have Ty Okada back. We have Nick Emanwuri, but upgrading that position is always useful. And at wide receiver, a lot of people out there are saying that we need to upgrade our receiver room or add a young guy for the future because Cooper Kupp is getting older, but I don't know, with Jaxon, Torrey Horton, Rashid Shaheed, Cooper, and then Jake Bobo coming back. Wide receiver is probably the least on the list there for me. So let's dive right into pick number 32 and who people are saying we are targeting. Our first option at pick number 32 is the consensus pick, and honestly, it makes a ton of sense. It is Avieon Terrell, and Terrell finished 2025 with 48 tackles, 4.5 tackles for loss, 3 sacks, 9 pass breakups, 5 forced fumbles, leading all cornerbacks in the entire country in forced fumbles. He's the younger brother of Atlanta's AJ Terrell, and he plays with the same family DNA, instinctive competitiveness, always around the football. He forced 8 forced fumbles over his last 2 seasons combined, which is absolutely absurd for a cornerback, and he would fit in with Devon Witherspoon so well, and that's exactly what Mike Macdonald's defense is built around, guys who create turnovers. The concern for Terrell is he checks in at only 5'11", 180 pounds, and he can struggle against bigger receivers at the catch point. He can get a little bit too grabby in coverage sometimes, and he posted 0 interceptions in 2025. Dropped one he should have caught, but here's the thing. The coverage grades in PFF were remarkably consistent across 3 seasons. He's not a boom or bust guy. That's reliability every snap. He is a producer. He has the ability to play outside or in the slot, and he is comfortable in a variety of coverage looks. Makes him ideal for the flexibility entirely of Macdonald's demands from this secondary. In a dream scenario, this is our guy we take at pick number 32. But we do have a little bit of news on Terrell because today he hosted his pro day. On his first route of the day, he pulled his hamstring and he was unable to go for the rest of his workout. He is projected to be a first-round pick in this year's draft, so maybe he could slide a little bit due to this injury. The second name that keeps coming up for the Seahawks at pick number 32 is Tennessee Volunteers cornerback Colton Hood. He is projected to be the CB3 in this entire draft, and this guy's backstory is absolutely incredible. He started at Auburn, transferred to Colorado to play for Deion Sanders, then transferred again to Tennessee and stepped into a starting role opposite an injured Jermod McCoy. His uncle Roger Hood spent 8 seasons as a defensive back in the NFL after playing at Auburn, so the pedigree level is real. The physical tools are eye-popping. Hood measures in at 6'4", 212 pounds with elite size for a cornerback. Receivers as Hood had a monster 2025 seasons with 50 tackles, 4.5 tackles for loss, a pick 6 against Mississippi State, and a forced fumble for a touchdown against Syracuse. He became the first SEC player to return both an interception and a fumble for a touchdown in the same season since 2019. The concern with Hood is rawness. He has stiff hips that limited his lateral quickness, and he can struggle with in-breaking routes. He's only really been playing cornerback since 21, so the experience and polish aren't quite there yet. He may not be quite as well-rounded as some other guys in the mix and could slip into the second round. The third name that keeps popping up everywhere that the Seahawks could take at pick number 32 is Auburn's edge, Keldric Faulk. So it's most likely that Seattle are targeting cornerback at pick number 32, but what if they don't? Keldric Faulk is one of the top edge defenders in the entire draft class. He is 6'6", 275 plus pound pass rusher with a massive wingspan, elite strength, and the versatility to line up all over the defensive front. One publication called him a potential top 10 pick based purely on physical traits. He earned SEC All-Freshman honors in 2023 and developed into a 32-game starter at Auburn. His 2024 season was his best, 45 tackles, 11 TFLs, and 7 sacks. Faulk is nearly impossible to steal off the edge. As a run defender, he understands leverage, uses his length to keep blockers off his frame, and converts speed to power as a pass rusher in a way that moves offensive linemen back into the pocket. The concern is his lack of sack production, dropped to just 2 last season. And his bend around the corner isn't elite, which should limit him as a pure pass rusher at the NFL level, but at just 20 years old with a legitimate chance to develop into a perennial defensive lineman, he grades as a late first-round pick with a long-time starter ceiling. The case for Faulk is simple. With Boye Mafe gone, Seattle needs a pass rusher. A lot of mocks are saying that we might take Faulk to slide right into that Boye Mafe role. Moving into our second round pick number 64. And a lot of these articles are saying that we are going to find our Kenneth Walker replacement, an explosive running back. And the name that keeps showing up here across multiple mock drafts is Jadarian Price from Notre Dame. Price rushed for 674 yards at 6 yards per carry on 113 attempts last season. He is 22 years old. He was stuck sharing a backfield with Jeremiah Love at Notre Dame, which suppressed his stats, but the traits are undeniable. Price projects as a lead back in the NFL, and pick number 64 is described as the sweet spot for his range. The other name that keeps coming up here is Mike Washington Jr. from Arkansas. Washington rushed for 1,070 yards and 8 touchdowns on 167 carries in 2025, adding 28 catches for 226 yards as a receiver. One Sports Illustrated mock draft specifically had Washington fitting alongside Charbonnet once he returns from the ACL, giving Seattle a legitimate 1-2 punch again. Now, our third round pick number 96, is where things get a little bit interesting, and it's kind of a sneakily important pick for us. And this is where the insiders are saying we are going to draft a young wide receiver to be the heir of the throne to Cooper Kupp when he leaves, because he is now 33 and he is on a larger contract than we would like to be paying him. And 2 names keep popping up here. Bryce Lance from North Dakota State is one of the most interesting picks in this whole class. Over his last 2 seasons, Lance caught 126 receptions for 2,150 yards and 25 touchdowns. That's volume production from a receiver who can actually go up and get it. He projects as a deep threat, complemented JSN's route running brilliance. The other name is Denzel Boston from Washington. The 6'4", 212-pound wideout grew up to He grew up just 35 miles south of Seattle in South Hill and starred for the hometown Huskies. He attacks the football in the air, rips contests and catches away from defensive backs, and uses his massive frame to box out corners in the red zone. A hometown kid, the Seahawks could have a big-bodied red zone presence that they currently lack since losing DK Metcalf. The fans would absolutely love this guy. And here could be one of the biggest picks of this entire draft in round 6 at our pick number 188, because this is where John Schneider historically finds hidden value. And the guy here is Parker Brailsford, a center out of Washington and Alabama. He keeps popping up, described as potentially one of the best steals available at his position in this class. With interior line depth always a concern, finding a developmental starter in the 6th round is exactly the kind of move that extends a dynasty. Low risk, real upside, and he fills a hole that we may need. What this signals for the franchise is this draft tells us everything about how Mike Macdonald and John Schneider view this window. They are not desperate. They are disciplined. 4 picks managed correctly is a power statement. We built a championship roster, and we trust our process to reload in the same way. The dark side defense is a system. You plug in the right athletes, and it works. Terrell or Hood at 32 proves they believe that. Now, what happens next? We need to look and see who the scouts for the Seahawks go and watch at their pro days when they're working out, who Seattle bring into the building for interviews. It'll be a telltale of which prospects they're eyeing for the April 23rd draft. Also, don't be surprised if the Seahawks do go out and trade pick number 32 and maybe they get pick 40 and pick 50 or pick 60 or something like that, just to have more options to get more depth pieces so they can come in and really compete for those positions in training camp. It is that time of the episode for the 12's verdict, where we want to hear from you down in the comments. Who do you want the Seahawks to draft at pick number 32? Is it Avieon Terrell, the cornerback out of Clemson, Colton Hood, cornerback out of Tennessee, or Keldric Faulk, an edge from Auburn? And here is my take. I know we said we were going to do this draft thinking the Seahawks keep their picks. I don't think that's the case. I think John Schneider is going to trade pick number 32 and get 2-3 more depth pieces. And with Avieon Terrell having that hamstring injury, could he potentially fall to pick number 40, pick number 45, and the Seahawks pick him up right there? I really want the Seahawks to go and get Avieon, and I think obviously he is going to be healthy by the time training camp comes around. It's just a hamstring injury right now. I know they can linger, but he is going to slide down every draft board because of this. And this is where the Seahawks always swoop in and get guys. Think about DK Metcalf. He had those back injuries when he was playing in college, and then he was fine as soon as he came into the NFL. But who do you guys think the Seahawks should go out and draft at pick number 32? If you were John Schneider, who would you select? Let me know in the comment section down below. I will try to respond and debate back and forth with you guys on every single comment that I can. That's going to do it for this episode of Seahawks Digest. You guys, look how close we are to 1,000 subscribers. If you stuck along this long, you may as well subscribe. You are a Seahawks fan. You want all the content. And until next time, till next episode, till some more news drops, I'm Kyle Guerrero. Go Hawks.